kind of have to stay close.
Okay, perfect. At the end of a stressful election week, one beacon of light for us is being here with this group of people. In a week where our new fear is acceptance and freedom as an LGBTQ couple, it's comforting to know that we have a community here where we're accepted and it's safe to be us from the moment we arrived through these doors. Our journey here is slightly different than Laura's and Mary's, but what stands out for me is how we all found the same place we needed to be, but for different reasons. As a child, I was definitely from a family where you attended church because it was expected. I was raised Catholic and was told from a young age that the rule of the household was that we would go to church together until we made our confirmation. So we would complete all of the major sacraments in case we wanted to get married in a Catholic church. I definitely believed in the overall idea of being a good Catholic and definitely had a belief in God, but like many kids in our congregation and my siblings, I was never running out the door to make it to Mass on Sundays. Once we made our confirmation, we knew we were allowed to choose for ourselves. Church definitely felt like something I had to get through. Confirmation became less about accepting a mature role in my own Catholic faith, but more about an option to find faith in my own style and perhaps outside of this Catholic congregation I grew up in, and find my own way somehow. Having only really known being a Catholic, I didn't quite see how I would make this happen, but I knew my love and belief was strong enough and that I would find a way that would still be accepting in God's eyes. Growing up as a tomboy, I definitely didn't always fit in our Catholic congregation we were a part of. While never directly addressed with me, there was definitely a sermon or two that made me question if my tomboy tendencies were something to be concerned about in God's eyes. While I always felt I could be who I was with my immediate family and friends, I never truly felt accepted by those who were preaching to me about God's universal love. I wondered how, if I was made this way by God, how it could be wrong. I took up altar servering at this church to keep busy during Mass and to hide my obvious style under the required robe. I knew my belief in God was strong, but I didn't know how to show that while being myself. I attended weekly as I was told and took it as a time to reflect on the week. But as soon as confirmation came around, I decided church was just not the place for me, and I took my out. My sister Danielle, my brother Paul, who many of you have met, made the same decision. My parents also quickly found that Sundays were full of other activities once all the kids in the family had made it past this benchmark for them. I was busy doing theater, focused on school, playing sports, so I felt it was a valid excuse to pull away from a community where I just didn't fit in. While I appreciated some of the messaging of the Catholic service about community and the idea of helping others, as I grew more and more into myself, I knew it would be hard to hide my feelings and just didn't feel that the decision to love who I love was one that I could ever see being a sin, because in my eyes, God is love, so how could any type of love ever be wrong? I committed myself to theater, a community where there's no limits on acceptance. While I attended church with my family on holidays or special occasions, there were times I didn't even feel like taking communion was appropriate for me, because had I really been a good Catholic? I didn't want to be disrespectful by accepting communion in a church that didn't see my lifestyle specifically as appropriate. My theater hobby quickly turned into a profession, and I became a freelance stage manager, traveling every few months to a new theater with a new group of theater friends who all accepted my ways of life. My stage management career took me to California in 2014, where I met Christina. It was apparent relatively quickly that we were meant to be. By the end of my second job at the theater, where Christina was the executive producer, I decided to move to California and pursue finding work to keep me in Los Angeles. By 2015, we were engaged and married in 2016. Christina wrote this part about herself. Christina was also raised Catholic and actually attended Catholic school from first grade through high school. She was very active in church, both at school and on Sundays. She was an altar server, read at Mass, and was in the choir. She enjoyed participating and looked forward to Mass. Her mom was also the assistant to the pastor at a Seventh-day Adventist church, So in addition to Catholic Mass, she also attended service every Saturday at the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The two churches were very different, so as a kid, Christina also found herself asking questions about religion and faith, trying to figure out exactly where she fit in. While some questions were never answered to her satisfaction, what she did know was that what she would always try to live her life treating others with love and respect, accepting everyone, and trusting that God would guide her. She never questioned God or her faith, but she did find herself questioning some of the teachings of the Catholic Church. She stopped attending Masses regularly after high school, only going back to her family with her family for religious holidays. This didn't mean that her personal relationship with God had changed. It was very clear for me early on in our relationship that Christina was meant to be a mom. She was surrounded by friends and family who all had kids who adored her, sometimes more than their own parents. I loved seeing the joy Christina could bring to kids she loved, and loved my new life surrounded by the joy and trust of these little ones. It was clear parenting was in our future. After lots of thoughts and research on how, we knew adoption was the way to go. We started the process during our home time in 2020, and after lots of paperwork, stress, and prayers, we received a random call one day that we matched with a birth mom in April of 2023. After a 5-minute phone call, we both sides knew that this was a wonderful match. We met with Miles' amazing birth mom on May 20th to get to know her. Along with her, we met her 2 other beautiful sons and Miles' biological father. It was clear it was meant to be, and something higher had drawn us together. Just a week later, she reached out to let us know that it was time. We rushed back to Stockton, and we were able to be there with Miles when he was born. All that backstory brings us back to how we got in the doors here. Once Miles was settled at home, and we got back to the reality of life, we had lots of discussion about baptism. For me, it was a scary thought. We knew it was important to our families, who now no longer asked, when are you two going to have kids, but when is he going to be baptized? I feared I was going back to a time where I would hear, you have to go to church until Miles has confirmation. After a few months of dodging the question, we knew that this was not something we would be able to avoid. We wanted to find a church where we could just blend in, get him baptized, and then see how it goes. We decided we would each find a few options we wanted to try, but how would I find a church that I want to go to after finding church to be a place I felt the least like me? I didn't want my son to see his family as less than because he didn't have a mommy and a daddy. Where would we go that we felt accepted? Where could we go where Miles wouldn't hear that real marriages are only meant to be with a man and a woman? After buying a new house and adoption expenses, how could we afford to go to church and commit to stretch ourselves thinner each week by dropping an appropriate amount of money in the collection basket? Sometimes that was something that was stressed during those Catholic sermons of my youth. To answer these questions, I turned to the place that all millennials go to find important answers to life, Google. After typing in gay-friendly church near me, St. Luke's came up on top. When I approached Christina with my top choice, she laughed and said, I found the same one on Yelp. Let's go this weekend and just try it. Well, walking through these doors, we walked into the last thing we ever anticipated. For a gay person from a conservative Catholic congregation, walking into a church as an openly gay individual, you often anticipate one of two things: a lot of side eyes or being asked to leave. Here, we experienced the opposite. We were immediately greeted with warmth and kindness, not just from Pastor Janet, but from multiple smiley members of this congregation. No side eyes, just straight eye contact and interest in us as people. We were floored after this welcome, and we took our seats as far back and close to the door as we could so we could run out when Miles got fussy. But before the service began, we received the same message that Laura mentioned, that here at St. Luke's, kids are welcome to be kids, and not to worry if Miles makes noise or needs to move around, but that here kids could be themselves, even during service. We found that information pamphlet in the pews stating the same sentiment. A huge weight was lifted, and I found I was able to breathe, the first real deep breath I felt in a church probably ever. We sat behind Larry and his grandson on the first day. When music started, we watched Larry's grandson grab a tambourine and join in. I couldn't help but smile. It didn't take long for Miles to join in, and watching him light up with the music here has been a magical experience and definitely one that makes me feel the presence of God. Shaking maracas or jingle bells during a Catholic Mass was not even a glimmer of a thought, even if it meant giving a child an in to a service. Here, Miles is involved in the service, sometimes not at the right times, but to watch him light up and look around the community of people and feel a part of that is not what we anticipated. When we got back into the car after that first service, we were both stunned at the positive experience. Something that started as an obligation had brought us all such joy, and we couldn't wait to return. We both were able to stop and focus on the lessons and hear the words spoken because we weren't worried about judgment for our personal lives or our son's excitement at being live in general. This is what I thought church was supposed to be. And now we were given the opportunity to really embrace this as a choice for us and not an obligation to make others happy. The reality of St. Luke's has flipped for me as something to get through and not be noticed to something I couldn't wait to share with as many people as possible. I couldn't wait for Miles to be baptized, not to get it over with as I originally anticipated, but because I was proud to be here and part of this community. The touch of all of you has reached not just us, but has changed the lives of many things, including for my family members who attended with us that day. My mom and her partner, who live in New Jersey, have returned to weekly masses near her after their time here. And my brother constantly asks me if there's anything he can do to help here, and stated on many occasions, "Tell Pastor Janet that if service started after 11, you know I'd be there." St. Luke's is a place of community. We look around and see so many different backgrounds, interests, and even languages, but a universal language of love and compassion. We watch this congregation give endlessly to community, from care packages to animal blessings, trunk or treats to meal trains, to just letting a kid play jingle bells through an entire sermon just so the parents can hear the message of the service. I didn't picture myself getting involved, but from almost day one of walking through the doors here, there are opportunities to use my skills to play a role in the community St. Luke's has built. At this time, my involvement in the church service is not to hide who I am under an altar-serving robe, but to embrace who I am and to participate with a group of people who have changed my life and given me back God. There are endless ways to be involved here, and I encourage everyone to take the opportunity to dive in further into the community here by giving a little extra time each week. For me, it's not only because it's a time to use my skills, but it's a time to get to know the others here and feel a part of building something meaningful. While financial giving is important here, giving time is something just as valuable, and there's always something that we can do. Financial giving was something that stressed me out from the get-go. We both have full-time jobs, along with additional part-time jobs and freelance work to keep us afloat. Giving in church as a child was something that was very much on display. I often heard my mom mention frustration at sermons about the congregation not doing enough. If you weren't giving your 20%, then you weren't doing your part. My mom made sure to clearly fill out her envelope each week to be sure credit was given to her in her record. I was so relieved realizing there was online giving here the first week when we found out about the additional collection because I had no cash, but was so worried about the perception that we weren't giving. Online giving wasn't around back when I was going to Catholic Masses. I was so paranoid about giving properly that I even asked Pastor Janet if I needed to just put an empty envelope when donating online so that everybody knew we were participating. You can't imagine my relief when the pastor laughed at this question and let me know that there is no proper way of giving here and that we're all doing the best we can and aren't judged based on a percentage or number. Giving is important to help continue the mission of this church. We look forward to continuing to contribute weekly towards that, and we do it online, and working our way to hopefully eventual tithing. It's just another way to participate and help nurture this thriving community of faith we feel blessed to be welcome into with full love and acceptance. So our journey has turned from one of obligation to one that we can't imagine having missed. Miles has been a blessing in our lives for many reasons, but helping us find a way back to faith together is one that I will be forever grateful for. Thank you to each of you for contributing to our paths to faith and for being role models in your own ways to our son. I've never felt closer to God than these past few months here, and I plan to continue to grow in our faith with all of you. Thank you all.